It's the activated AF1, and we are the Futurtarians. First and foremost, I'm going to say peace, power, and soul. This video is going to be on quantum activation. This video is going to be on quantum activation. Once again, this video is going to be on quantum activation. So what are you activating? You're activating the minds. Because when you're dealing with junk DNA, like they say it's junk DNA, they call it junk for a reason. Well, why do they call it junk, AF1? They call it junk because they don't want you to look at that missing strain as something that is precious. Something that can be activated to send certain people back into the future. Now, when you're dealing with this picture right here, you see the circle. You see the circle, and then you see the middle of the circle. And what's that? That is a multi-quasar. That's what that is. That's a multi-quasar. Right? Because the ones that's not going to be stuck in a circle, they're going to still shoot out and go into what? A 1. Because if you look at those lines that's shooting out the middle of this quantum sphere, they're shooting out of it. They're not being a part of the hamster wheel. They're not being a part of the hamster wheel. So you're dealing with quantum physics and also quantum activation, because the junk DNA that they've been pushing for years, they've been pushing the junk DNA, calling it junk. No, it's just certain people's going to tap in, certain people won't. That junk DNA could be activated. I'm calling it junk DNA because that's what is on Google, dealing with Siri, Google, and Alexa. So that's what people know it as junk DNA. But really, it's just activated hidden DNA. Activated hidden DNA. Because when you're dealing with, look how many galaxies, stars that are in the universe. When you're dealing with trillions of stars, billions of galaxies, it takes all that to get a couple of people into the future. All that. You know what the third dimension is? The third dimension is basically an activation field and also a playground. It's a playground. Remember when you was a kid, you used to go to the playground, you used to play on the swings, the slide, you used to do all that simple-minded stuff. That's what the third dimension is. It's a playground. It is a test. This is a test from the emergency galactical system. This is only a test. Boo! Remember that? Remember that? Dealing with the quantum realm. See, this realm right here, if you was to tap into it, and some people are tapping into it, but when they get there, then it's too much power. It's too much power there. So then they tap out, they get scared, and they tap out because they're not worthy of being there. But they'll tap in, but they're not worthy of being there. So that's why when you're dealing with the light codes that are shooting out, right? You're dealing with the light codes that are shooting out. Galactical code system. See, when you're dealing with the galactical code system, I have to say this in every video because people, they understand, but then they're not taking it in and applying it to the activation, because everything on this planet is about activation. Now, when you're dealing with activation, right? So say like you got cancer. You got cancer. Now they got to do chemotherapy. So what they got to do? They have to activate the chemotherapy to try to get rid of your cancer. Everything's about activation on this planet, in this 3D realm. What happens when you have to go, or what happens when another country invades a a country invades a country, right? Who do you activate? You activate the military. They get activated. They have to go defend. Everything's about activation. You know, can't nobody argue about that. You know, I was going to do a video Saturday. I said, I'm going to do this real quick video because everything's about activation. See, some of y'all might have got the jab. See, but now, little do you know, the jab can be activated. The jab can be activated. That's why we be sitting around here just laughing because, you know, somebody come around us, you come around us, you know, and you're an agent, they just going to activate the jab. That's how serious this get. Serious. What is serious? The serious star system. That's why when they say that this virus is serious, this is a serious virus. Yeah. Because allegedly, I always got to say allegedly, man, because these videos are starting to get deep. Allegedly, it came from the Sirius star system because this is going to keep rolling regardless. This is going to keep rolling regardless. Dealing with quantum physics, tapping into the quantum realms, multicolor spectrum. Dealing with the multicolor spectrum. See, when you're dealing with the so-called, you know, they got the gay flag. When they took all those colors and they try to make it gay. Dealing with the multicolor spectrum, they try to make that and make it gay. Well, that's fine. What you're pushing, because all those colors are they're a color galactical code system. All those colors mean something. It means something for the future. It means something. So that's why they're going to push it on, I forgot that movement. What was the LTGB community, whatever that is. That's why they took it and gave it to them, because they were actually trying to push the multicolor spectrum under the rug, where it was not dealing with activation and it started dealing with homosexuality. That's why they had did that. Dealing with the quantum realm, because when you tap into these upper dimensions, I be going to the upper dimensions. I tap into all the dimensions that can be seen. Seen through what? The light, the speed of light. So tapping in from the 13th dimension and down. The 13th dimension and down is what you can tap into. That's why when you're dealing with some of these people that's down here at the time, at this day and time, and people are down here, they're tapping into the 5th dimension, 6th dimension, 8th dimension, 9th dimension. They're tapping in, but because they're not in the 13th dimension, going into the 14th dimension, they have to tap out because it's too much for them, because they're not at the source. The source is the 13th dimension. We're going into the 14th dimension. The source is the 13th dimension. What is that? The 13th equals the 4. When you add up 1 and 3, what do you have? You got 4. So then the 14th dimension is rolling in. And what is that? That's the 5. When you're dealing with the 5. But when you separate it, it's the ones that are tapping into the 4. Because once you tap into the 4th dimension, then you could tap into the other dimensions if you're worthy of it. If you're worthy of it. Because everybody's not going to be worthy of gathering, coming together, and building a council. They're not. They're not going to be worthy of it. Dealing with that movie AntMan. That movie AntMan, they showed you the quantum realm in that movie. That's why it's so funny, because they showed him popping into the quantum realm and what? Manipulating the 3D realm. So in that movie, he said when he went to the quantum realm, he was there for like, don't quote me on this, but he was there for like 40 years or something, or 50 years. But when he was in the quantum realm, it was like 10 seconds. It was like a minute. He was in the quantum realm for a minute, but when he came back to the 3D realm, he was already like 40 years older. Because the quantum realm, it moves so fast. It moves fast. It is, the quantum realm is uh, a realm that keeps speeding up faster than the 3D realm. So that's why I had to say something about AntMan, because it was so funny when I was watching that movie. I'm sitting here watching that movie, and I'm like, oh, he went to the quantum realm? I'm like, yeah, it's over with. Dealing with the villain. Quantum activation. When you're dealing with quantum activation, because everybody's not going to be worthy of tapping into the quantum realm or tapping into the upper dimensions. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Going back to the portals. Porting what? What does portal mean? Porting what? Porting intel. So you're dealing with the upper dimensions. They have to, the people you see in these unidentified flying objects, they are highly advanced three-dimensional beings. The people you see in unidentified flying objects are highly three-dimensional beings. Because after you dealing with the quantum, they don't use spaceships. They use portals. They go through portals. That's why when you're dealing with the planetary grid system, I always have to remind you guys, you're dealing with the planetary grid system. When you go to the planetary grid system and you go to the dead zones where electricity can't work. Now look at, I had one teacher talk about everything's going to go to electricity. And I'm like, everything's already electrical. Your phone's electrical. Your house is electrical. Your car is electrical. Your job is electrical. So when he had said that, I kind of understood what he was trying to do. But he didn't understand that it wasn't going electrical. It's not going electrical. Everything is going solar power. Because it's going to be so much energy that's shooting out the sun, it can power a whole planet. It already can power this planet. The sun can already power this planet. That's how much the electrodes, the electrons, and the plasma is beaming down, because the sun can already power this planet fully with everything. And see, that's not even going into the magnetism. The magnetism, when you're dealing with magnets and magnet power, that is going to be for space travel. You can use that here. But the main purpose for that will be space travel. When you're dealing with the moon, when you're dealing with the organic spaceship, because the moon actually was placed there, and it's a spaceship, and the moon's allegedly hollow. So when you're dealing with the moon, who's going to activate the moon to be worthy to move as Nibiru? Who will be worthy to get in the moon, activate the moon, and move it as Nibiru? Because when people talk about Nibiru, I'm like, okay, you're dealing with the brother AF1. AF1 tells you Nibiru is up there in in the solar system every night. Earth's Nibiru is the moon. It was placed there. When you look at the inner planets. When you're dealing with Mercury, Venus, was it Mars? They have no moons. What's the odds of those planets not having a moon? Then you go on the outskirts and there's multiple moons. Dealing with the Galactical Council. See, the inskirt, the Earth is the only one that has a moon. What is the odds of that when you're dealing with billions of stars? No, trillions of stars, billions of galaxies. What is the odds that the Earth is the only planet in the inner solar system that has a moon? Anybody with logical sense will know that it was placed there for a reason. Now, what can the moon do? The moon can withstand solar flares, mega solar flares. Not even these solar flares that's on the planet. When you're dealing with the planet's aura shield. That's what I call it, the aura shield. When you're dealing with the aura shield, it could withstand solar flares way stronger than that. Just dealing with Earth's aura shield. That's why it was placed there. Who's going to be worthy to activate the moon and move forward? That's why I be telling people, man, like, y'all ain't over here. I just can't do nothing for you, man. I really can't. Your bloodline, your soul, all that stuff, man, gonna fade away in the future. Really can't do nothing for you. Dealing with the quantum activation. See, because everything on this planet is about activation. There's nothing on this planet that doesn't deal with activation. Nothing. Nobody, no teacher, no nothing can argue with AF1 about that, because everything is about activation. Simple as that. When you're pregnant and your water bursts, where do you go? Especially if you're just a regular. If you a regular, you can't call a personal doctor. If you ain't at that pinnacle where you can call a personal doctor and have them come to your house and deliver your baby organically, you have to go what? To the hospital to activate who? The doctor. The doctor has to get activated to get that that person out your womb. Everything's about activation. And everything's about mind power. Who is going to be worthy of activation? Who's going to be worthy to keep going? When you graduate, you get your diploma. And when you're dealing with diploma, you get your diploma. The word diploma, what does that mean? When you go to school, you get your diploma and you get what? Deployed. Just like the military, you get deployed to who? Corporations. That's what diploma means. It means you're being deployed. Just like when they say, oh, the military's been activated, they have to deploy. So when you get your diploma, you have to deploy to who? A corporation. The quantum realm is one of the realms where people have mental breakdowns. Mental breakdowns. So this right here, some people going to say it looks like an atom. Atoms deal with the quantum. And then if you flip it upwards, it also is the 6-pointed star, dealing with the Star of David. The Star of David, what they do, they had to manipulate the atom in the quantum realm to do what? To keep the mass majority of people in a loop process, to keep them going in a circle. So when somebody represents the Star of David, we already know that y'all's in a loop process. You're in a circle process. You're going, even dealing with the conscious community. Conscious, woke, religion. The loop process is the main process to keep doing whatever y'all's doing. Dealing with who? Siri, Google, and Alexa. This is a real quick video. It's to activate an AF1. If you like the way the world is, don't like, don't share, don't subscribe. If you want it to alter, move at the speed of light. Peace, power, and soul.